Let's have some fun today. Instead of trying to fix or do something weird with the car to add other images, let's change the whole background to a different scene. I think that's going to be the best route for this picture. As you know, we tried the not so good or not so well resulted with trying to add a race car or something that did a really wonky job. But that was, as I said before, that was actually to be expected. And this time around, let's try something different. We're going to start by selecting the car, and I'm going to do a few things here. While I'm selecting the car, and I still find this floating box to be really irritating. But alright, so we've got I reversed the selection, we've got the background being selected here. And we're generating a couple different tries. That's the plan here. I just started by lighthouse, and this is what I got, which makes sense. And unfortunately, it did a little wonkiness with the car on the first one, but not a big deal. That's nothing. That's easy fix. And so here's the deal with the AI in Photoshop. I do think that's funny, by the way. In reality, AI in Photoshop isn't meant to be a tool to assist in creating the image that you are looking to provide or change to expand upon to make more of, I'd say, your own work, or better yet, a result that better suits what you are trying to convey for an image. Alright, so obviously this result wasn't what I was looking for, so I'm going to try a few different other results here. Keywords here, I should say. Let me rephrase that. So it always takes a minute to do a generate or to regenerate, and of that nature. You know what I think would be ideal? So I got better results here. As you can see already, I kind of like that. That looks pretty cool. And I think as far as that goes, fixing the results in any of these look really good. And the best thing to do here, if I were to keep one of these, is to correct the windows. That's the only thing I would need to do to really expand this. But I digress. Let's talk about the interface a little bit. I like the fact that it does have a palette, but I don't like this floating box that they've added to Photoshop. It's really distracting, and the fact that it doesn't stay pinned every time you open up a new image is really frustrating and irritating. I don't appreciate it whatsoever, and I don't care for the end results of it, of having it float like this, because it's frustrating. You can't. Here's the thing about speed. Muscle memory. That's the key here. The only way you're going to be fast with the mouse is muscle memory. And having a floating box like this, being prominent, kind of bouncing around when you do things, it's one, distracting. Two, you can't build that memory muscle. So every time you try to go to it, you got to search for it. And the other problem here is every time, here's another gripe. I'm sorry to be griping on Photoshop or Adobe. Every time they do an update, this is what drives me nuts, is that they reset your palettes. They all go into their default minimalism, and you have to go back and fix it. And hopefully you had remember to save your last preset the way you wanted it to be. Other than that, I really like Photoshop. I really like the way it works. This new AI generation thing is pretty cool, and I can see a huge benefit when I'm working on stuff for clients or even for my job, I would say, considering my job is where my clients are, since I don't do freelance work. But with this, it's a lot of fun, and I find this ideal for my own personal work as well. Alright, I'm going to try a different prompt, as you can see. And I didn't get the results I wanted, but they weren't bad. Obviously, your selection does matter. See, I do like this one. This here works really well. But as I was talking, if I had done a better job at my selection here, you would have had, I'd say, a nicer result as far as connecting the car to the scene. As you can see towards the back there of the car, I didn't quite have my selection good enough for it, and it kind of ignored that and did something weird with that section, and it doesn't work. It'll have to be I'd have to go in and fix it. Unfortunately, I don't think that's a technique that the AI will be able to easily fix, unfortunately. But with that said, this was my fault, as far as that goes. Here I'm just poking around seeing if it is fixable, if that's just, there's stuff behind it that I can resolve. But apparently, no, that there isn't. The AI worked with the selection, did what it could with blending it and things of that nature. Well, honestly, I think it did a pretty good job. I have zero complaints here, and I'm very happy with the results. Alright, with that said, I'm going to try a few things. I'm going to try here to fix the reflections, trying to use the AI generation. What you're seeing here is the quick select tool. There's the thing is this is not the default state of the quick select. Usually it's the reverse of this, which is really hard to work with. I've found. I'm sorry, I'm trying to use quick keys and I didn't know where my foreground background were as far as coloring goes. So I'm just quickly cleaning up my selection to do this test. And this is important to get this right, for this to look correct. So what I'm going to do using quick select mode is quickly clean up my selection using a combination of the rigid lasso tool. Oh, and here, that's my point. I gave you an idea of what I'm using, in the fact that you can even adjust the colors inside your quick select. So with that said, back to what I was talking about. I'm using a combination of two things here. I'm using that rigid lasso tool along with a paintbrush in the magic wand to get the sections that I want unselected dealt with. So as you can see, I'm using that rigid tool. And why I'm choosing these is because of speed, as well as ease of use. In certain sections, this is easier to use versus other sections where it's easier to use the brush tool. And mind you, so you're aware of what I'm using to do this with is a mouse. I do not have a touch display or Wacom tablet or any of that stuff connected to this computer. It's just my mouse. And with the paintbrush, I'm using a combination of moving the mouse and using the shift key. And what the shift key allows me to do is get a nice straight line with the brush. So by clicking one point and then moving to another point, I can quickly build a straight selection. And then I'm using freehand in other areas. What I think is going to be important for anyone even starting or even people seasoned, using the paintbrush efficiently with a mouse can be very useful, even though it's a lot harder to use a mouse than a pen when it comes to the paintbrush. But it does work, and it does offer some unique, I'd say, options. If I did if I was using this in, say, a Wacom pen computer or a display tablet, or if I had one, for that matter, what I would do is use it, still have a mouse connected, and use it in conjunction with the tablet. I wouldn't just use one or the other. I'd use them in combination. And the reason being is that's going to speed up your workflow, as well as allow you to do quite a bit more when it comes to this, because this AI generation stuff here isn't just, oh, type in a keyword or two and boom, there you go, you got what you're looking for. It doesn't work that way. You get a handful of results that may or may not work for you, and with those results, if you're happy with them, great, you're good to go. And then you gotta continue to manipulate your area to balance off and actually correct the things that the AI can produce. That's how this workflow goes. And with that said, though, here's the thing. It actually speeds things up. For me to do that background, I'd probably spend a fair amount of time on a stock photo a stock photo site, whether it's Adobe Stock or something else, to find the appropriate image. I know I'm going to be using that image, and I have to pay for that image on top of that, and then download it or bring it into my library, whatever. This is not about the payment part. You should always pay for your images that you buy or want to use in my book. So that's not the issue. The issue here is time. The amount of time for me to do that and then crop out the cart and swap it out and then start balancing things, or get to the point of balancing, is a huge difference between using the AI and doing that. I found that with the right keywords or lack of keywords, the results are far more efficient or a lot quicker, than using a stock photo site right away. So at the end of the day, the results that you get here versus a stock photo site may be more efficient or may not be. It's going to be a balancing act that you're going to have to determine which is going to be the right move for the project you are working for, or working on for that matter. All right, so yes, I'm still in the quick select. I'm still trying to quickly select the area to create my selection to try to make a reflection on this. So I'm going to speed up the video right here real quick a little bit. And hopefully just to get this done quickly for you guys, so you're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting for me to fiddle around with this. That's not what this is about. Okay, now that I got that quick selection done using the rigid lasso tool, I'm going to quickly select a few other things, which probably isn't the smartest idea at this point. It probably would have been much more efficient for me not to select everything that I am selecting here. And the reason being is that not everything has the same, I'd say, not everything has the same reflection type or shape or coloring. So it probably wasn't ideal. But if you take a look what I'm doing here, this is a good way of getting a quick gradient in your selection and having a lot of control at creating that selection in the way you want it. So as you can see, I'm lightly brushing in a gradient transition there. Okay, now that's done. Let's see about getting out of quick select mode and see if I can do this. I don't think I'm going to get this right, but we're going to try it. I'm going to make my keyword here. And it failed, which is understandable. I don't think the word I selected was probably work. I didn't think it was going to work anyways. I'm going to try another word here. Since I tried mirror, I'm going to try reflection or something like that. Yes, I know I'm doing a voiceover and when I did this, but the results are interesting, and actually might it be fairly useful for this? They're not right, but they might actually be useful as far as getting in a base. And I may go back, if you guys think I should finish this image up, and try to adjust for the appropriate sky. Oh, I didn't notice that when I was initially doing it, but yeah, it should be noted that the reflections really didn't work, but they do. If you look at it closely, it actually works based off of what it thinks it is. So it's assuming that this car is parked underneath a light, and that's actually a pretty accurate prediction here based off of how the lighting looks, which is kind of cool. It actually did what would be fairly predictable, which I'm very happy about. It's not what I was thinking of, but I think this is an awesome starting point for this here. And I'm very happy with that. But I think what I'm going to need to do in addition to that is add some of the sky colors into it. And I do think I need to tone the car a little bit better. So I'm going to try another generation, see what we get. But it actually did as predicted at the end of the day. So yeah, I think it did its job right. And my second attempt didn't fare very well either. As you can see, it didn't change the things the way in a predictable manner. So my first results were better. But at the end of the day, this is works pretty well, and it's fairly semi-predictable once, or it does it what it thinks is right. If a computer did think, that is. I have no complaints here. I'm happy with what it did. So, with all that said, leave a comment down below and tell me what you think about this. Should I continue and complete the project, adding the proper reflections and toning down the car so it fits more into a night's or a dusk, I'd say, scene? Or should I just continue on and try to find something else to do? Leave a comment. Let me think your thoughts. Well, let me hear your thoughts. I would like to. All right, with that, subscribe for more. And I think I'm going to catch you in the next one at this point. All right, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you later.